Hey guys, I wanted to run you through my initial impressions here on the LG G4. Now, of course, these are initial impressions, so they could well change in the full review, so just be aware of that. But yeah, we'll start off with the look and feel here, and the G4 is a 5.5 inch device, and for me personally, I think this is the sweet spot for mobile phone screens at the moment. It's still big enough to enjoy your movies or live sports on, but it's also comfortable in one hand, especially as the width is narrower than larger devices like the Nexus 6. It's easier to reach across it, so I'm really happy with this screen size. Now, in terms of the rest of the build, the phone is predominantly plastic. The back cover here is mainly plastic, which means it's a pretty light device. And while that's a positive, it can also be a negative. It doesn't have that solid premium feel you get with a Nexus 6 or a Galaxy S6 with its metal construction. Of course, the G4 does have a removable back cover to get access to the battery and the SD card slot. The other two devices I mentioned don't have that, so it's kind of a trade-off. You lose that solid premium feel, but you gain the removable battery and the SD card slot. There's also a slight curve on the device, not as aggressive as the G Flex, but it is there. It's said to help fit the contours of the face, and LG states that it also helps with durability as well. If we look at the top here, you can see the back is slightly curved too, so that does help fit the palm, and I've got to say it is very comfortable in the hand, and that's also due to the fact that there are no buttons on the side. They're smooth on both the left and right hand side, so it's easy just to rest your fingers there. Now, the buttons are on the back, so you're not going to accidentally hit them on the sides of your devices like I've done many a time with other phones. I was a bit dubious of how this would feel, but after 5 minutes, quite honestly, it felt really nice to use. It's very simple, very intuitive. Your finger just kind of goes there anyway, so it's very easy to press the power button or the volume up or volume down button. It's actually quite nice to have a smooth left and right hand side on a device. It feels very comfortable in the hand. In terms of its overall looks, there's nothing really too special here. I wish it didn't have the bezel at the bottom. They could have shrunk that a little bit more, made it a little bit more sleek. Moving on, we'll talk about the display. It's a 5.5 inch Quad HD IPS quantum display. That's quite a mouthful, but it's worth it. This display is just awesome. My camera won't be doing it justice here, so definitely check this out in person at some point. It's got punchy colors, excellent contrast, and blinding whites. In my opinion, it's right up there with the AMOLED display on the Galaxy S6, and if you're a fan of LCD, then this is a display you're absolutely going to love. It's in the region of 530 ppi, so it's also incredibly sharp. One thing that surprised me with the display is the black levels. It's the best I've seen from any LCD. Obviously, it doesn't quite match that impossible blacks that you get with AMOLED due to the differences in the technology, but it's definitely the best blacks I've seen on an LCD device. You can see the brightness here is absolutely blinding at maximum brightness, great for outdoor viewing, and it also goes very dim if you want it to at nighttime as well. For underhood power, you're looking at the Snapdragon 808 processor. It's a 6-core CPU with 2 high-performance Cortex A57 cores and 4 low-powered A53 cores. That is using that big. LITTLE technology, so it's using high-power cores for demanding tasks and then lower-powered cores for light background stuff. But you can see I only have CPU-Z in memory here, but performance is very, very fluid. I've been seriously impressed with the Snapdragon 808 here. Of course, it is pushing a lot of pixels. Even Facebook is relatively smooth, and we all know that Facebook is quite a resource hog and it's normally quite slow. But you can just see how responsive and fluid the LG G4 is right now. Of course, these are initial impressions. I haven't been running it for weeks or months on end yet, so we'll see if that performance changes a little bit over time. But one of the most impressive things is the speed of the camera. You can just see it there. That is seriously quick camera opening. I can close it out, do it again, boom, it's ready to go. That speed is also very useful when you use the camera shortcut. So if we lock the screen, to use this shortcut, you can double tap the volume down key and that will launch you straight into the camera. And you can just see how very quick that is. So it's going to be really easy to get the camera ready and to get the shot you need. But overall, I've been really impressed with the Snapdragon 808. It seems to handle Quad HD displays without any issue here. It breezes through multitasking and scrolling. I also played a little bit of GTA San Andreas and it played that game very well as well. That'll be in my full review. Now, of course, with the G4, you do have the LG skin. This is not stock Android, so pretty much everything will have an LG touch to it. Now, me personally, I've always been a fan of stock Android. I love its simplicity and all that good stuff, and this really isn't going to change my mind. Some features of LG software is nice. Some of it is just too bloated for me. By default, it comes with tab view in the settings, and if you look at sound and notification, it actually has to scroll through the menu there, which is really odd. I just don't think you're doing it right if the text has to scroll for you to fit it in. But you can change it to list view, which I found a lot better. It just seemed a lot cleaner and easier to me, a little bit more like my Nexus 6. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some good things that LG have included. For example, you can see dual window here, which works really well for supported applications. You can see right now I have Chrome at the top, and then I have my gallery at the bottom, so I can play a video, and I can also keep browsing the web. I know that's not going to be for everyone, but it's kind of cool to be able to multitask on a device, especially with a 5.5-inch display. If we jump to storage, I know a lot of people are interested with this. It's a 32GB device. Of course, don't forget you do have an SD card. But by default, I believe you only had about 22 gig free. If we jump into miscellaneous, you can see that the system takes about 9.43 gig. So that's just system data with the LG apps and stuff. Preload is that video that I just showed you. So you have about 22 gig out of the box, but then don't forget you do have the SD card slot for expandable storage. So there's a good option there for you. One thing I love about the LG software is they do include the knock-on gestures, so you can double tap anywhere to turn the screen off, and then you can double tap to turn it on. That's pretty awesome. I love that that's built in. It's always something I try and add to my Nexus with custom software and custom ROMs. There's also some pretty cool smart settings, so it knows when you're at home. You can have it change your profiles. If you plug in your headphones or connect to a certain Bluetooth device, you can have it open a music app and start playing music. And lastly, we'll talk about the camera. Now, I only had a quick go with this, but it already impressed me hugely. So much so that I just wanted to take pictures with it all day. The camera app has a few useful features. It's got a simple, auto, and a manual mode, which just gives you so many options like ISO settings and shutter settings and all that good stuff. It's a 16 megapixel shooter with laser focus, 3-axis OIS, and a color spectrum sensor. And what that means is you're going to get some awesome shots, especially with that f/1.8 aperture lens. The shots are incredible. Like I said, I just went outside and snapped these. I didn't stand there for ages trying to get the best shot. I was in the automatic mode and I just took these as quickly as possible. Even when you transferred these over to PC, the photos looked fantastic. You can see that bokeh effect in the background as well as it focuses on your object in the foreground. I just think the shots here look amazing. It's one of the best cameras I've used hands down. It can definitely stand up with the Galaxy S6 and iPhone 6 Plus. It was very fast to focus. It got all the colors right. Now, don't forget I was in pretty good lighting conditions, so that's pretty obvious. I'll be doing lots more tests on the camera to test out how it does in low light. Due to that 16 megapixel sensor, you can zoom in and the detail is still good. If you zoom in a little bit too far, you can notice the LG sharpening. Hopefully that can be toned down in a future update, because sometimes it's a little bit too sharp and you do lose a little bit of the fine details. But yeah, hands down, this is already one of the best smartphone cameras out there. It's just phenomenal. In terms of battery life, I can't talk too much about that because I haven't used the device for that long, but I've got a feeling it's going to last you through the day about 16 hours, and you're going to get about 3 to 4 hours screen on time. That's kind of how I've judged the battery life so far. Of course, I will be checking it out in my full review with proper usage, but yeah, that's my initial impressions, guys. Let me know what you think. Peace out.